Our main character regresses to day 1 of his marriage and immediately files for divorce. His CEO wife has absolutely no clue why.
See, in his past life, whose stepbrother Zhang Yida committed suicide at their wedding because he despised him for marrying Liu Ruyan. That was when Ping An realized she had always loved Yida, but her strict parents crushed their romance early on, leaving Yida to hate him forever. His final dying words begged Ping An to never love her or marry her in the next life, just letting them be together.
So Ping An spent his entire life and billions of dollars building a time machine. And boom, he is finally back.
He is right back to day 1 of his marriage. It is their wedding night, but Ruyan is dead drunk because Yida went on a blind date. Honestly, falling for Ruyan was way too easy. They grew up together as childhood sweethearts and he absolutely adored her. She used to drag him home when he skipped class, buy him treats in winter storms, and even broke her own ribs protecting him from kidnappers. But later, he found out she only did all that because their families were close. It was never actual love. Her true love was always her stepbrother, Yida. His mother married Ruyan's father when they were only 7 years old. Growing up, Ruyan completely spoiled Yida. At the time, our boy Ping An just assumed it was normal sisterly affection. But slowly, he started seeing the real truth. She got fiercely jealous whenever Yida talked to other girls, and she even kissed him passionately when no one was looking. Finding out too late ruined all 3 of them. The scientist told him he must resolve Ruyan's 3 biggest regrets to change their tragic fates. He looks at her sleeping face, remembering the 3 heartbreaking regrets she once wrote down in her private diary. She regretted marrying him, regretted not fighting her parents, and she deeply regretted not saving Yida. Ping An whispers that this time he will make sure she gets exactly what she wants. Late at night, he prints out the divorce papers and slides them in front of his drunk wife to sign. He tells her to sign so they can be even. She grabs the pen and signs without a single second thought. Even though his heart aches, he takes the signed papers to his lawyer the very next morning to start the official process. The lawyer asks if he wants to rethink divorcing on day 1, but Ping An is totally set on leaving. Just as he says he must leave, a sharp voice behind him asks what divorce he is talking about. It is Ruyan. He quickly signals the lawyer to get out. Once they are alone, he lies and tells her she just misheard him. He claims he was only asking about property. She nods, apologizes for getting wasted, and promises to make up for their wedding night later. Happy? He wonders if she was ever truly happy, considering she drank herself to sleep every single night in their past life. She used to hug him while crying out Yida's name. This marriage trapped both of them. Just then, the butler walks in. He respectfully announces that the car and gifts for visiting Ping An's parents are ready. On the drive there, Ruyan's phone suddenly buzzes. He glances over and sees her swiping on the screen before immediately flipping her phone face down.
She turns to him and says she has a major emergency at the office.
Without waiting for his reply, she gets out of the car. Ping An sighs and turns on his own phone to check. Sure enough, Yida's social media is right there. He posted photos laughing at an amusement park on a date, holding hands with a girl. Talk about painful. There was never an office emergency. She just rushed off to save Yida from his blind date. His parents are shocked to see him arrive completely alone. At the dinner table, he finally breaks the news to them. He tells them he is getting a divorce and wants to move abroad with them. Days pass, and she never returns to their new home. Instead, she is constantly on Yida's profile. There are photos of them hugging on a Ferris wheel and eating at couples cafes. She even covers his ears under fireworks, while Yida captions it about how lucky he is to have a sister who completely spoils him. His friends tease him in the comments, asking how he could ever like a blind date when his sister is this perfect. Yida replies that his sister refuses to let them date anyway and promised to support him forever, so he had to say goodbye to the girl. Honestly, this is so painful to watch. Ping An swallows the bitterness, locks his screen, and starts packing up his life. At the same time, he tries to figure out how to solve her second regret, getting her parents to approve of her and Yida. Yida's mother will be easy to convince, but Ruyan's strict father is a totally different beast. He is the ultimate head of the household. Ruyan is his hand-picked successor, and he expects absolute perfection from her with 0 mistakes. Since they are on the same household registry, her father absolutely lost his mind in the past life when he found out they had feelings. He forced them apart and made her marry Ping-an instead. But right as our boy is planning his next move, Ruyan suddenly walks in.
She is wearing a gorgeous formal gown and hands him a suit, telling him they have a family dinner tonight. Ruyan looks at Ping-an, takes the suit, and suddenly pulls a gift box out of her pocket, saying she bought this for him at an auction. But when he opens it, there is just a single cufflink, even though rumors say she spent $100 million on a limited edition ring.
Everyone thought she bought that ring for her husband, but Ping-an only gets the cheap giveaway jewelry.
He says nothing, simply putting the cheap bracelet on and offering a quiet thank you.
Ruyan's eyes flicker with guilt before she brushes it off, and they head to a family banquet where everyone praises them.
The relatives keep teasing the newlyweds, saying they are a perfect match and grew up together. They even start talking about baby plans, but Ruyan clearly has zero patience for this and quickly makes an excuse to escape. She claims she has to make a call, leaving him entirely alone to awkwardly deal with everyone. Just as he finally gets a breather, a mockingly familiar voice behind him offers congratulations on the wedding.
He turns around to see Zhang Yida standing there in a white suit wearing the exact $100 million ring Ruyan just bought.
Ping-an freezes for a split second before faking a smile, politely telling Yida that his ring looks quite nice. Yida smugly rubs the ring, bragging that his sister bought it and insisted only he was worthy of wearing something so expensive. He tells him she wouldn't give it to her husband, closely watching Ping-an for any sign of jealousy or heartbreak. But Ping-an just smiles and calmly agrees that it suits him, leaving the villain completely speechless and unable to provoke him further. With his trap failing, Yida panics and suddenly grabs Ping-an's hand as he tries to leave. He puts on a fake, apologetic face, claiming he missed the wedding but has a special gift for him today. Ping-an tries to decline, but Yida suddenly gasps dramatically, as if he's being pushed. He screams for him not to push, then dives straight into the pool, and Ruyan instantly comes running. Seeing her precious stepbrother drowning, she turns pale, screams his name, and dives right in. In her sheer panic to save Yida, she aggressively shoves Ping-an out of the way. Ping-an loses his balance and cracks his forehead against a stone, while the dramatic Yida is dragged out. Soaking wet, Yida sobbed to Ruyan that he did not know why his brother-in-law would push him when he clearly cannot swim. Ping-an tries to deny it through his bleeding wound, but Ruyan's bone-chilling glare instantly tells him she doesn't believe a word he says. Before he can say anything else, Yida screams that the precious ring is missing and must have dropped into the water. Ruyan quickly stops him, promising she will just buy him another expensive one later. She tries to take him to the hospital, but Yida cries and refuses to leave without her gift. When Yida pretends to jump back in, Ruyan looks at her soaking stepbrother and glares at Ping-an in pure rage. She coldly orders that whoever lost it should go fetch it, signaling her bodyguards. They grab Ping-an and throw him right into the freezing water, sparking shocked whispers from the crowd about her doing this to her husband. They whisper that he supposedly threw his stepbrother's gift into the pool, so he must retrieve it. Honestly, this favoritism is wild, and everyone is gossiping about how she treats her stepbrother like a treasure. Ping-an sinks as the freezing autumn water swallows him, his thin dress suit offering zero warmth. He shivers violently and tries to climb out, but the bodyguards mercilessly push him back down. His desperate cries are drowned out as they warn him that President Lee ordered he cannot leave without that ring. Blurry-eyed, he watches Ruyan carry Yida away, his heart shattering as he sinks back down to search. He searches for 2 painful hours before finally finding it, dragging his soaking wet body onto the deck. His skin is turning purple, his hands shake uncontrollably, and he realizes everyone has already left the party. Clutching the ring, he stumbles away from the villa, but realizes he forgot his phone, forcing him to head back up. Just then, he spots a massive fire blazing ahead. Suddenly, a memories unlocked moment hits his brain. In his past life, this was when the mansion burned down and his drunk father-in-law was trapped inside the study. Even though his father-in-law survived, he suffered severe burns. Ping-an immediately calls for help. He runs straight into the flames, finds the unconscious old man in the study, and begins dragging him toward the exit. Just as they near the door, a burning beam crashes down and Ping-an pushes his father-in-law to safety before getting crushed. Intense pain sears across his back before his vision goes black, only to wake up later in a hospital room. The nurse is relieved he is awake, but warns him that his severe back burns will leave permanent scars. Our boy Ping An does not even care how badly he is hurt. He just wants to find Father Liu. He drags himself to the ward, but at the door, he freezes. Inside, it is a warm, happy family scene. Ruyan's mother is literally thanking Zhang Yida, saying if not for him, the father would be dead. She says he is too old for this drama. Zhang Yida just acts all humble, smiling and saying it is his duty as family. Even Liu Ruyan is looking at him with pure gratitude and worry, asking why he rushed in alone without calling her first. She warns him it was too dangerous, but Yida claims he had no time to think. He says his only thought was protecting her father, telling her not to worry because they are both safe now. Hearing this, everyone smiles, even the usually strict Father Liu. Honestly, the dad used to hate that Yida and Ruyan liked each other. He used to glare at Yida, but now his eyes are filled with gratitude. Meanwhile, Ping An just stands outside the door, completely heartbroken. He has no idea why Yida is stealing his credit and pretending to be the big savior. But honestly, Ping An thinks this might actually be for the best if it helps Ruyan and Yida end up together. So he does not expose the lie. He just walks away, spending the next few days entirely alone in his hospital bed. Finally, his wife Ruyan actually remembers he exists and calls him for the first time since their wedding. Talk about bare minimum, guys. At that exact moment, he is trying to put medicine on his badly burned back. The nurse already told him these scars are permanent. He answers the call, but Ruyan's voice is instantly freezing. She demands to know where he is and if he knows her dad is hospitalized. She literally blames him for not visiting, asking if he is still throwing a tantrum over her last punishment. This woman is unreal. Ping An tries to explain, but Yida cuts in, telling Ruyan not to bother because her husband is probably out throwing a fit anyway. That completely triggers Ruyan. Believing Yida's lies, she does not even let Ping An speak before slamming the phone down. He just stares at his phone and smiles bitterly. He's used to being ignored, but man, it still hurts every single time. A week later, he finally gets discharged. The father only inhaled some smoke, so he had already left the hospital way earlier. Instead of going home, Ping An heads straight to Father Liu. He literally gets on his knees, begging him to accept Ruyan and Yida. The father is completely stunned. It takes him a few solid seconds before he even realizes he should pull Ping An up. He asks if Ping An already knows about their affair. Ping An just smiles bitterly, begging him to let them be together. The father frowns, saying Ping An is her husband, and besides, they are adoptive siblings. It is absolutely impossible. But Ping An can see the dad is wavering. Yida taking credit for the rescue actually worked to soften the old man up. Time to drop the bomb. Ping An tells him he has a secret that sounds completely crazy, but is actually true. He reveals he actually traveled back in time. The father just stares at him like he's speaking absolute gibberish. Ping An insists he is telling the truth. In his past life, the dad forced Ruyan to marry him, separating her from Yida. Because of that, Yida ended his own life, and a heartbroken Ruyan eventually followed him to the grave. Naturally, the dad looks completely pale, unable to digest this wild story. Ping An expected this reaction, though. He tells him he can prove it. In exactly 10 minutes, the city bridge in the north is going to collapse. Skeptical but curious, the dad agrees to wait. They sit in the living room in dead silence until 10 minutes pass. Boom! The news actually broadcasts the bridge collapse. The dad loses his mind, shaking as he asks how this is even possible. Ping An begs him again, insisting he is telling the absolute truth. He says they can just transfer Yida out of the family register. Since Ruyan is his heir, surely he does not want her dying young. The father is utterly overwhelmed. His brain is fried. Finally, he waves his hand and tells Ping An to go home for now. He needs time to think. Knowing he successfully shook the old man's resolve, Ping An just nods and leaves. Back home, Ruyan is still nowhere to be found. He sits by the window alone, watching the stars. Feeling lighter than ever, he realizes he is about to check off her second major regret. Talk about a selfless main character. The next morning, as he is packing his things, the front door flies open and Ruyan walks in, looking absolutely freezing. She literally orders him to dress up for a date. He is totally stunned, but she snaps and tells him to stop asking questions. Just then, Ping An gets a text from the father. The message says he thought about the time machine story all night. It is still too crazy to believe, so he wants Ping-an to try going on a few more dates with Ruyan. He forced her to go, hoping they can fix things. If it still fails, the dad promises he will finally let them go. Before Ping-an can even process this mess, Ruyan is already glaring at him with pure disgust.
She sneers, accusing him of crying to her dad just to force her on a date. Talk about a massive misunderstanding.
He tries to explain, but Liu Ruyan doesn't give him a chance. She grabs his wrist, dragging him into the car. Her face stays dead empty during their entire date. They go shopping, watch movies, and even visit an amusement park. Yet her gaze is ice cold, treating her own husband like an enemy. He follows her, feeling completely suffocated. That night, they sit in a fancy restaurant. The candles flicker, but the vibe between them is frozen solid. He finally begs her to stop drinking for her health. She just puts down her glass with a cold glare. She coldly says her dad wants them to consummate tonight, but she's getting wasted to avoid the hassle. His heart completely sinks. Clenching his fists, he whispers that he never forced her. She just sneers, claiming she actually felt guilty earlier. She accuses him of acting sweet just to hide his true colors, while secretly complaining to her dad that she ignores him. She asks if he changed or if she never really knew him. He just looks down, unable to say a thing. He says nothing, silently staying by her side until she gets completely wasted. By the end, she can barely stand. He struggles to carry her to bed, but as he turns to leave, he trips and falls right on top of her. Their lips press together. He freezes, but she violently kisses him back to release her pent-up frustration. She drunkenly mumbles that she loves Zhang Yida so much. Hearing his rival's name, Ye Ping-an feels his heart shatter.
The pain is suffocating. He tries to push her off, saying she has the wrong guy. But suddenly, the door slams open.
Zhang Yida stands there, completely pale and trembling with shock. Ye Ping-an frantically tries to explain the situation.
But Zhang Yida immediately turns and...
Ye Ping-an struggled for what felt like forever to break free from the embrace. But by the time he chased outside, Zhang Yida was already nowhere to be found. He felt a heavy stone weighing down on his chest, having absolutely no idea what kind of drama tomorrow would bring. But honestly, even he did not see this coming so soon. In the dead of night, Liu Ruyan's phone suddenly went off. She answered it, and whatever the voice on the other end said completely broke her. Her face instantly turned ghost white. She hung up and bolted upright in bed, her body shaking as she tried to force the words out. She gasped that Yida committed suicide because he saw them kissing. Ye Ping-an's mind went completely blank, like a lightning bolt just hit him. Suicide? How was this even possible? In his past life, Zhang Yida did not try to end things until much later. Why did the timeline shift? Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan immediately sobered up, glaring at him with pure hatred. Her eyes burned with agonizing rage as she screamed at him, asking if he was satisfied now and if he had planned this whole tragedy on purpose. He tried to explain himself, but she was not listening. She grabbed her keys and sprinted out the door without even grabbing a coat. Of course, he chased right after her. Just as she started the engine, he rushed over and gripped the car window, insisting he had to go with her. She just glared back with absolute ice, demanding to know if he wanted to hurt Yida again. She accused him of exposing her feelings to her father and orchestrating the kiss just to trigger Yida. She warned him that if anything happened to Yida, she would never forgive him. Gritting his teeth, Ye Ping-an made it clear he had zero bad intentions. But here is the thing, he absolutely had to go because he knew exactly what was about to happen. Yida was going to suffer massive blood loss, and the hospital was about to run completely out of his type. Ye Ping-an was his only match, just like how Yida died in the previous timeline. But she refused to believe a single word and slammed on the gas. Desperate, Ye Ping-an threw himself directly in front of the car. Before she could even brake, boom! The car slammed right into him. The impact sent him flying through the air before he crashed onto the hard ground. Liu Ruyan scrambled out of the vehicle, yelling in absolute horror. She screamed, asking if he was completely insane. Dragging his broken body out of a pool of blood, he stood up and stubbornly insisted that she take him with her until she finally gave in. At the hospital, everything played out exactly as he predicted. Yida was bleeding out, and the blood bank was totally empty. He immediately rushed to the nurse, offering to donate his own blood. Seeing his bloody and battered state, the nurse looked at him in total shock and asked what on earth had happened. She warned him that he was way too weak to give blood, but Ye Ping-an would not back down, practically forcing them to start the transfusion as his skin began to lose all its color. He grew paler by the second, gritting his teeth without making a single sound. Halfway through, the worried nurse begged him to stop before he ended up killing himself. But with bloodshot eyes, he stubbornly ordered her to keep going because Yida needed the blood. By the end, they drew a massive 1,000 cubic centimeters from him. He practically collapsed on the spot. Liu Ruyan caught him, her voice trembling as she asked why he would go this far. He just offered a weak, faint smile. He whispered that she was the most important person to him, and Yida was the one she loved. Hearing this, Liu Ruyan's heart completely shattered. Liu Ruyan completely freezes, looking down at him in her arms as a wave of messy emotions hits her. For the first time, she actually starts looking at his love. It was always loud, passionate, and he literally risked his life for her without asking for a single thing in return. Thinking of all his sweet words, she asks with pure guilt if he really did not snitch on her dad. He weakly shakes his head. No, he wants her to be happy more than anyone. Talk about low-key heartbreaking. Her heart clenches, but before she can even speak, our boy completely passes out. When he finally opens his eyes, he is in a hospital. The nurse comes in with an IV, and his first thought is to ask if that toxic guy, Zhang Yida, survived. The nurse nods, but looks totally annoyed. Yep, he is alive. She complains that his wife is wild for making him donate blood until he almost died, all while only caring about her precious brother. But he just smiles. He feels totally relieved. Picking up his phone, he texts Liu Fu, stating that they should already know about Zhang Yida's suicide attempt. Alright, so after trying for days, Ping-an finally accepts that Liu Ruyan will never love him, and he decides to divorce her. He even calls her dad uncle now, asking him to just let Ruyan and Yida be together. The old man just sighs and gives up. The father says he is washing his hands of this, giving Ping-an total relief. Ruyan's regrets are resolved, and it is finally time for him to leave. During his hospital stay, Ruyan never visits him once. Instead, the nurses keep talking about how she is babying Zhang Yida. Honestly, she is so toxic. But Ping-an does not even care anymore. He gets his divorce papers, tells his parents to head to the airport, and goes home to pack his bags. Just as he is wrapping up, Ruyan walks in. She looks surprised to see him packing, assuming he already heard she wants him to move out. Ping-an is just confused. Ruyan actually acts gentle for once, explaining that Yida is discharged but weak, so she wants him to stay with them. Since Ping-an's presence might upset the fragile white lotus, she wants her husband to banish himself to the northern villa, and Ping-an just nods. Ruyan is completely thrown off by how easily he agrees. She starts wondering if her husband is just being incredibly generous. She thinks he must love her to death to donate blood for her crush and then calmly pack his things. Nah, she is delusional. While she is lost in her little fantasy, Ping-an finished packing. She snaps out of it and offers to drive him to the villa. He almost says something, but decides against it. They ride in total silence until Yida calls, whining that he burned himself with hot water. Ruyan instantly panics. Seeing her grip the steering wheel in sheer anxiety, Ping-an tells her to just go to Yida while he takes a cab. Ruyan is amazed by his maturity, but it low-key feels wrong to her. Honestly, she does not deserve him. She calls out as he gets out. She promises that since they are married, she will try to move on from Yida. He only has to stay at the villa for a month. Ping-an says nothing. He just gets out and quietly leaves his copy of the divorce papers on the dashboard. But Ruyan is in such a rush, she speeds off without even noticing the papers. Watching her go, Ping-an smiles. He whispers that she will never let go, and he is never coming back. She can finally have her dream guy. He is completely done with this toxic cycle. He takes a cab straight to the airport, ready for a fresh start. While crossing a bridge, Ping-an takes off his wedding ring and tosses it into the river below. Talk about a clean break. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Ruyan runs to the VIP room and finds Yida crying his eyes out. She panics, grabs his hand, and desperately asks if he is okay. Yida turns his face away, sobbing that she does not care about him anymore. Ruyan immediately squeezes his hand, begging him not to say that. She insists she would never abandon him. Yida immediately bursts into tears and wraps his arms around her waist like a needy child. He whimpers that she took way too long to return, making him think she left him. Ruyan patiently holds him close, coddling him. She promises she will never let him go, even if the whole world turns on him. Yida finally smiles and asks for a pinky promise. She hooks her pinky with his, and over the next few days, she literally lives at the hospital to prove her devotion to him. She feeds him warm porridge, spoonful by spoonful, takes him for walks, and even holds him tight during thunderstorms. It is honestly so cringe. Soon, the entire hospital staff is talking about how incredibly devoted this rich CEO wife is to her supposed husband. But some nurses who actually read the news start whispering, pointing out that Ruyan's actual husband looks completely different. Before they can finish gossiping, the head nurse tells them to shut up. Too bad Ruyan and Yida are walking right past them. Yida hears the gossip and immediately starts tearing up, tearing himself away from Ruyan and running back to his ward. The manipulation is real. Ruyan goes to chase him, but stops. She turns around, giving the gossiping nurses a cold glare that could literally freeze water. She warns the head nurse that she better not hear any more trash talking. The terrified nurses collapse to the floor in absolute despair. Ruyan ignores them and heads straight to Yida's door, knocking frantically and begging him to open up and let her in. But Yida plays the victim, locking the door and saying they shouldn't be so close anymore since people are starting to talk. He tells her to leave because he can manage alone. Ruyan's heart breaks and she tells him not to talk like that. But she suddenly stops herself. They are siblings. Before, she was single, so there was hope, but now she is actually married to Ping-an. Realizing Yida can only be her brother now, she smiles bitterly and turns to leave. But suddenly, a loud crash echoes from inside the room. Her heart drops. She kicks the door open and finds Yida sitting blankly on the bed with a shattered glass on the floor. She rushes over, checking his hands frantically to make sure he is not hurt. She lets out a huge sigh of relief. Yida clings to her waist again, crying that he is completely useless without her. Ruyan gently pats his back to soothe him. She whispers that if he cannot do it, he does not have to. She promises she will take care of him forever. Hearing this, Yida finally flashes a smug, satisfied smile. On his discharge day, Ruyan drives him straight to her marital home. But once they park, Yida refuses to get out, acting all hesitant. He says it is wrong since she is a married woman. He whines that having an outsider around will only ruin her marriage. Ruyan just chuckles, knowing exactly what he is worried about. Having an outsider around is pretty awkward. Hearing Zhang Yida say this, Liu Ruyan instantly gets his worry and just softly chuckles. She literally drags him out of the car, calling him her family. Plus, her husband already moved out. She promises it won't disturb his recovery, leaving Zhang Yida completely shocked that she actually kicked her husband out. Seeing her obvious affection, this green tea guy gets incredibly smug. He hides his smirk and acts worried. Won't he get mad? Please. She knows he never complains. No scenes, no fuss. He just packed. She tells him to relax. Late that night, she sneaks away. Back in the hospital, sharing a bed felt normal. But here, it feels wrong. She ends up sleeping in her husband's empty room. Outside, it is pitch black. Under a single dim lamp, she tosses and turns, unable to sleep. Her mind is racing. She grabs her phone. Blank. Nothing. She refreshes again and again. Still absolutely nothing. Sure, she told Ye Ping-yan not to contact her, but did he really have to listen? Not a single notification. She tosses her phone, feeling this massive, unexplainable wave of frustration. Over the next few days, she literally cancels all her meetings and parties just to stay home with Zhang Yida. Shareholders complain to her dad, but surprisingly, her father says absolutely nothing. This is super suspicious. She is surprised, but brushes it off. She has got bigger fish to fry, like buying a rare pink gem. Since it was a private piece, she had to pull major strings. He loves the gem and starts picking accessories. Bored, she scrolls her phone. Then, a notification. Not him. Just spam. Talk about a massive letdown. Still dead silent. Has he ever ignored her like this? Since middle school, he messaged her daily. Simple texts, but always filled with pure care. Now, nothing for half a month. She is not just uncomfortable, she actually misses him. What is he doing? Is he okay? A wave of regret hits her all at once. She stands up to leave. But before she can walk out, Zhang Yida stops her. Sis, where are you going? She hides her phone, forcing a smile. He pretends to be torn between two ties. She grabs both and heads to the counter. He watches her with a fake smile. Once she is gone, his smile vanishes. He grabs her phone. He easily unlocks it and sees the empty chat history. Jealousy flares in his eyes. He mutters that Yi Ping-an should stay gone forever. This guy is absolute psycho energy. He calls his henchmen to burn down the husband's villa. He clings to her, but she is consumed by guilt. She sneaks out to her car, but he is watching. He calls his henchmen. The fire is burning. Villain behavior, honestly. He drives out to watch. On the road, the cold wind clears her head. She finally realizes why he has been quiet. She promised to pick him up after a month, but she completely forgot. She steps on the gas, convinced an apology will fix everything. Oh, she is in for a shock. She parks at the base of the mountain, just stairs left.
She runs up, then freezes. Sky-high flames. Smoke everywhere. Realizing he might be inside, she tries to rush in. A massive explosion rips through the air. Neighbors grab her. Let go! She struggles, eyes bloodshot.
She screams that her husband is still inside, but it is too late. No one inside. That sledgehammer of a line freezes her. What did they say? Firefighters quickly extinguish the massive flames. Amid the black smoke, rescue dogs sniff the ruins for valuables. They pile the untouched jewelry in front of Liu Ruyan, confirming once more that no one was inside. Standing like a statue, she hears nothing but those words. She feels relieved, but doubts quickly flood her mind. She remembers dropping Ping-an off here. Even if she abandoned him, he should still be waiting. But where is he? Desperate for answers, Liu Ruyan ignores everything and prepares to rush down the mountain. Just then, a group walks up. Her father stops her, accompanied by Zhang Yida and her mother. Apparently, Zhang Yida wanted to witness Ping-an's death, but met Liu Ruyan's parents and came up together. Running straight into them, a now calm Liu Ruyan quietly says she is going to find Ping-an. But her father's next words freeze her in place. No need to look. He already left the country. Talk about a plot twist. Dizzy and trembling from the shock, she can barely ask what he means.
Her father sighs. He explains that after Ping-an begged him for help, he promised to leave immediately.
Ping-an even made one final request. Once they divorced, his father-in-law should support her and Zhang Yida. Those words explode like thunder in her ears. Her entire world goes dead silent as she short-circuits. Divorcing who? Her lips tremble as her chest tightens. It feels like an invisible hand is squeezing the life out of her.
Ain't no way! This has to be a lie. She convinces herself he is joking because they cannot be divorced.
When she dropped him at the villa, he promised to wait. How did it suddenly turn into a divorce? She can barely breathe, her knuckles turning white as she grips the railing like her last lifeline. While she panics, the schemers stay calm. Zhang Yida's mother always wanted them together, but hesitated due to step-sibling status. Now that the marriage is allowed, the mother worries it won't be that simple. Meanwhile, Zhang Yida is absolutely thrilled. He never expected Ping-an to back out of the picture without a fight. Thrilled, Zhang Yida grabs Liu Ruyan into a tight hug, celebrating that they can finally be together. He tries to kiss her right in front of her parents, but she shoves him off. Talk about satisfying. She keeps shaking her head in total denial. Watching this, her father remembers what Ping-an warned him. It is glaringly obvious how she favored Zhang Yida. Seeing them now, those warnings were definitely true. It is just a shame such a good guy had to suffer. Her father simply pulls out the signed divorce papers. The signatures and official stamps are all there. Liu Ruyan stares at their names on the paper, completely dumbfounded. She desperately rubs her fingers over their names as if she could somehow erase the reality of it. She is always so careful with documents, so how did she sign this? Suddenly, she remembers their wedding night.
Drunk and desperate to stop Zhang Yida from going on a blind date, she signed whatever Ping-an handed her.
Now she realizes Ping-an tricked her. Furious, she rips the divorce papers to shreds. Shredded paper flies everywhere. She glares at her father, claiming she was tricked and will never accept this. Anticipating this breakdown, her father pulls out the actual divorce certificate. At this point, there is no going back. He found it in her car, ignored for days. The deal is done, whether she likes it or not. The official seal pierces her heart like a dagger. She tries to look away.
Her knees buckle. Gripping the railing, she forces herself to stand up.
She needs to find Ping-an right now. There is no way she is letting him walk away like this.
She rushes down the mountain. The sun rises, but her entire world has just been turned completely upside down.
For the first time in days, she desperately dials his number while driving.
Dark clouds swallow the morning sun, and her heart sinks right along with it. But will he actually answer? No shot. He does not pick up, nor do his parents. Every single call goes straight to voicemail. Gripping the wheel tightly, she desperately calls his friends, classmates, and teachers, but absolutely nobody knows where he went.
By day 2, she returns to their empty home, searching his old study for any trace of him.
After tearing the room apart, she finds an old wishing jar with a single folded paper star inside.
Unfolding it, she reads his wish to visit New Zealand with the person he loved. 3 days after Ye Ping-an left, Liu Ruyan flies straight to New Zealand, but of course, she finds absolutely nothing.
Refusing to give up, she literally searches all of Europe with zero luck. Just as she's boarding a plane to America, Father Liu
calls her and forces her right back home. He looks at his exhausted, bloodshot-eyed daughter and just sighs deeply.
He reminds her that she blamed him for splitting her and Zhang Yida up to marry Ye Ping-an. Well, now everything is back on track.
Ping-an divorced her, and nobody is stopping her from being with Zhang Yida, so why throw a fit? Do not tell him she actually loves Ping-an now.
Ruyan is totally dazed, only hearing that last line. Love Ye Ping-an? No way! They grew up as childhood sweethearts, but her heart
was always on Zhang Yida.
Honestly, if her sketchy business with him had not been exposed, she would have never married Ping-an. So even after the wedding, she never cared, constantly ditching Ping-an for Zhang Yida. A friend actually asked her once if she was not worried.
She was asked if she was not worried Ping-an would get mad. Her response? He is lucky I did not make his life miserable for forcing this marriage. Talk about toxic. Later, when Ping-an complained to her dad, causing Zhang Yida to fake a suicide attempt, she absolutely lost it on him. Friends even warned her that if she pushed Ping-an too far, he would leave. But she was so arrogant, convinced he was too obsessed to ever walk away. Well, she was confident until her dad handed her the divorce papers and she spent weeks searching for him with absolutely zero results. Suddenly, her dreams are filled with nothing but Ping-an, and her dad's words finally snap her to reality. She stares down at her phone. The wallpaper is their only wedding photo. She found it in his study, completely spotless, because he used to polish it every single day. For some crazy reason, she made it her background. And looking at Ping-an's bright, gentle smile, the truth finally starts hitting her. She actually loves Ye Ping-an. Father Liu just laughs at her face and asks, well, what about Zhang Yida? You do not love him anymore? Usually she would answer in a heartbeat, but now she is completely speechless. See, Zhang Yida was just the first guy in her life.
Because of that, she paid extra attention to him, and over time, that attention turned into a toxic, possessive obsession. Anytime he dated someone else, she would throw a tantrum like a kid losing a toy, constantly dragging him back.
She thought that was love, until Ping-an divorced her and vanished. Now that he is completely gone, she finally gets it. True love is turning the entire world upside down just to find him. It is that suffocating feeling of realizing what you lost. Your chest feels like a hollow void, and you start hallucinating, thinking he will just appear if you turn around. Yeah, she is down bad.
Sick with regret, she mumbles that she finally knows who she loves. And as for Zhang Yida, he's apparently just a younger brother.
Bam! The door flies open and Zhang Yida is standing there, completely losing his mind. He cannot believe she just friend-zoned him as a brother. After all these years, his dream girl just demoted him. I mean, everyone warned them they were practically siblings, but she did not care.
She used to tell him they were star-crossed lovers and promised him everything except a marriage license, and he actually believed her.
He gave her his entire soul because she sounded so genuine back then. Now she is just casually throwing him into the sibling zone? Insane. He literally starts laughing through his tears. Like, bro, what kind of sister secretly kisses her younger brother? Or ruins his dates and shares a bed with him? This family dynamic is wild. Mother Liu walks in right after him
and tries to calm her son down. But Father Liu steps in, drags his wife out, and lets them clean up their own toxic mess.
The door slams shut, and Zhang Yida is left crying his eyes out in front of a silent Ruyan. Honestly, his heart is completely shattered. He starts questioning if he wasted his entire youth on her. He knew they could never legally be together, but he did not care. As long as she only loved him, he was fine being her dirty little secret. That is why he let her ruin his dates. He loved when she ditched her new husband just to comfort him. He genuinely believed they would carry on like this forever. So when Ping An finally divorced her and left, Yida thought his time had come. He actually believed they would get their happily ever after. But plot twist, she officially calls him a brother and admits she loves Ping An. He is absolutely losing it. No way he is letting her go. She is his and his alone. Now, Father Liu has no idea how they settled their argument that night, but things got crazy fast. Out of nowhere, loud shouting and a woman's terrified screams echo from Ruyan's room. It sounds like absolute chaos.
The parents burst in and find a total disaster. 2 naked people, one on the bed and the other crying on the floor in rags. By morning, the news that the Liu family's daughter is marrying her own stepbrother spreads like wildfire. The entire elite circle is laughing at them.
Back at the house, Ruyan is absolutely trashing her study. She yells at her dad for forcing her to marry Yida after he literally drugged her.
Her dad is just cold and tells her she already ruined one man, so she should not break another. He just wants her married off.
But she is not having it. She glares at him and slams the door, shouting that her only husband is Ping An. Naturally, this insane drama travels all the way across the ocean to the Ye family. Ping An's parents hear about the upcoming wedding and are stunned. His mom finally connects the dots and realizes that the other man Ping An mentioned before they divorced was actually Zhang Yida. Talk about a mess. Our main character, Ye Ping An, already knew about Liu Ruyan and Zhang Yida, so he just nods calmly. But his dad slams the table in absolute fury. He rants about the Liu family, realizing they only rushed the marriage to use their son to cover up their dirty secrets. Even his mom's face goes completely cold. She scoffs at how calculating they were. Whether the marriage worked or not, all the blame and anger would ultimately fall right on Ping An. They get off easy while their son is treated like the ultimate villain. Honestly, our guy Ping An feels the exact same way here. The Liu family forced the marriage, yet Liu Ruyan blamed all her resentment on an innocent guy who did absolutely nothing wrong. In his past life, that despair literally ruined him, but thank God he regressed and cut this toxic relationship off early. Now he is completely done with them. They are totally dead to him. Still, his parents get so worked up, they want to book flights home right now to confront her, but Ping An quickly stops them. It takes some serious convincing to calm them down, but just as he finally gets his mom to smile, the butler suddenly walks in. He looks incredibly awkward and tells them that there is someone waiting outside who claims to be the young master's wife. Since this butler was hired in the United Kingdom, he does not know Liu Ruyan, but he knows Ping An is single, so he kept her waiting. He decided to report it first, and the moment Ping An's dad hears that Liu Ruyan actually showed up, he loses his mind. He literally slams his teacup on the floor and tells her to get lost. The butler is hesitant, though, because she looks incredibly wealthy. Offending her could end badly. Seeing the butler sweating, Ping An just sighs and tells him to say he refuses to see her. But she refuses to leave without seeing him. Ping An decides to handle this himself and heads to the gate, even as his worried mom calls out. He just gives his mom a reassuring smile, telling her he has everything under control. A heavy iron gate is all that separates them now. To be honest, Ping An knew she would track him down eventually. The Liu family has too much influence for him to hide forever. And get this, today was literally supposed to be her wedding day with Zhang Yida. Why is she in London chasing her ex instead of being a bride? Well, she is clearly not here for a casual chat. The moment she sees Ping An walking toward her, her dull eyes suddenly light up. She literally calls his name and looks like she wants to jump through the gate to hug him, but our boy is stone cold.
He coldly asks what she wants. Back then, he was always so patient and gentle, but now his voice is completely empty.
She is clearly not used to this distance. After a long pause, she rasps out that she is here to take him home. She quickly adds that she never agreed to the divorce, claiming he is still her husband. Honestly, that is just laughable at this point. She ignored him during their entire marriage, but now that he is done, she wants him back. He tells her he does not need her permission. Plus, she still has her precious Zhang Yida. Hearing his name, she instantly panics and stammers that she will never be with him. She claims he is just a brother and that she only loves Ping An. Honestly, that is hilarious. Ping An tells her straight to her face. The person in her heart is definitely not him. He says if they had just been honest about her feelings for Zhang Yida from the start, he would have never married her or ended up so broken. He tells her to forget the past and never show her face again. He delivers the final blow, turns around, and walks away without looking back. Liu Ruyan is left standing there, absolutely shell-shocked. She never expected him to actually reject her. He used to love her so much, looking incredibly happy when they got engaged. So why now? She thinks since she explained things, he should just forgive her. Her fists clench so hard, her nails dig into her skin.
She stands there like a frozen statue as a sudden downpour completely drenches her. Eventually, a familiar, gentle voice calls out to her.
It is Zhang Yida holding an umbrella over her. She slowly turns around, looking completely soulless. Seeing her look so empty inside, Zhang Yida feels a bitter lump in his throat. Today was supposed to be his happiest day. He was finally supposed to step out of the brother zone and officially become her husband, but his bride literally ran away. He chartered a private jet to track her down in London, only to find her waiting outside her ex's mansion like a fool. It's honestly pathetic. He wonders why she is so obsessed with a guy who clearly does not love her anymore, ignoring him completely. Zhang Yida has zero pride left at this point. He tries to convince himself that they have years of history and plenty of time left. He thinks he can eventually win her over, but honestly, Liu Ruyan is never going to give him the answer he wants. She coldly tells him that their relationship is a complete mistake and that forcing it will never end well. Zhang Yida snaps, throws the umbrella at her, and screams out, "What about you then? Why are you chasing someone who hates you?" He yells that she is stuck with him forever, but she does not even look back as she walks right into the pouring rain. No matter how loud he screams her name, she does not stop. Zhang Yida is shaking with pure rage and despair. He stares deeply at Ping An's villa before finally walking away. The next day, Ping An thinks he is finally free of this drama. But at a banquet the very next day, he spots them again. Zhang Yida is guarding her like a dog to keep other men away. He tries to ignore them, but a slender hand suddenly blocks his path as a deep, smooth voice calls out his name. Ping An's gaze falls on Zhang Yida, his face a storm of pure jealousy. Honestly, it feels like looking at his past self, guarding his ex-wife from everyone except the actual snake. He snaps back, calling her Miss Liu. Ouch, talk about cold. She begs him not to be so distant, but he just smirks. What about her awful attitude back then? Exactly. They are divorced now. Boundaries are just common sense. Too tired to deal with her drama, he slaps her hand away and walks off. She tries to follow, but Zhang Yida blocks her, desperately begging her to stay. He whines that he is her actual husband, making her frown in disgust. Look at those teary eyes. She finally realizes how annoying he is. Ping An never cried like this, even when she abandoned him. He just picked himself up like a boss. But the more she ignores him, the louder he wails. This step-sibling drama is a total circus. People are too polite to whisper, but their mocking stares make her skin crawl. She is the heir, used to attention, but definitely not like this. Snapping, she rips his hand off and reminds him they are absolutely not married. Cold-hearted words. He is not her husband. Never was. With that, she walks off, leaving Zhang Yida completely frozen in place. His pathetic act turns into pure hatred. Blood literally drips from his clenched hands. Meanwhile, Ping An is just casually chatting with guests when he hears a furious scream. It is Zhang Yida charging like a madman to slap him, but Ping An is built different. Oh, this is the best part. A wine splash, then a massive slap. His cheek swells instantly. Ping An only tolerated this loser for his ex, but now, no holding back. That slap completely ruins his hair. Total maniac face revealed. He glares with pure malice at Ping An's calm expression, looking like an actual demon. Wiping off the wine, he screams that Ping An is the shameless one trying to seduce his wife. Ping An hits him with another slap. Shut your mouth. She is the one begging him back. Why throw a tantrum? What a joke. The villain is far gone. His brain is completely fried by hatred. He wanted to attack Ping An the second she refused him. But his enabling mother stopped him, telling him to act weak so she would pity him. He played the obedient son. It totally failed. She does not care.
He is too pampered to take rejection, so he goes straight for the scapegoat.
He screams that Ping An should have died in the fire so his wife would be his. Out of nowhere, he gets this insane burst of strength and tries to throw Ping An down the massive stairs. A fall like that is fatal. Ping An fights back with everything. But the villain has gone full rage mode. Suddenly, Ping An loses his footing and tumbles. Right then, his ex-wife rushes in, sees him falling, and throws herself over him to shield him. With a brutal crash, they both roll down. A pool of blood starts forming around her. Chaos, screams, and sirens everywhere. Ping An completely blackouts. Back at the hospital, his mother slaps him in total disappointment. She cannot believe his stupidity.
She thought he would only do petty schemes, not try to commit murder in public.
Because of this disaster, the father dug up his past and discovered the kid actually committed arson before. Instead of apologizing, he smiles. You taught me this, Mom. Turns out his mother divorced an abuser years ago, leaving with nothing to protect her kid. After tons of harassment, she clawed her way up by marrying into the wealthy Liu family. Once she was safe, she projected all her toxic survival of the fittest mindset onto her son, teaching him exactly how to scheme and trap a rich partner to secure his future. Liu's mother is literally shaking with rage, screaming that she told him to climb the social ladder, not commit actual crimes. She raises her hand to slap him again, but Father Liu, fresh from signing surgical papers, barks at her to stop causing a scene. Her eyes immediately go red as she whimpers to her husband that this is all her fault, letting a single dramatic tear fall. That classic victim act usually works on him, but this time it barely does anything, though he softens slightly since they have been together for years. Without saying a word, he just drags her to our boy's hospital room to apologize, but the Ye family locks them straight out. The dad tells them to just go home, saying a small-time family like theirs cannot possibly accept such a grand apology. The MC's dad blocks the door with a grim face. He thought divorcing that toxic ex-wife would finally bring peace, but now this. Honestly, the Ye family might be smaller, but the dad is not giving them any face today because his son is his top priority. Father Liu knows they are completely in the wrong here, so he can only swallow his pride and ask how our boy is doing. Since the ex-wife acted as a literal human cushion, the MC only has minor injuries and just needs a few days of quiet rest. Hearing he is okay, Liu's mother breathes a sigh of relief. They apologize repeatedly before turning to leave, when the dad suddenly calls out. They freeze but do not look back, as the dad cold-heartedly warns them that he never wants to see Liu Ruyan ever again. The message is crystal clear. Father Liu silently walks away, and on the third day of her coma, the ex-wife finally opens her eyes. Once she wakes up, her father asks how she is doing, and then dumps the fate of her toxic stepbrother right into her hands. Even the mother stays quiet this time because she knows the kid needs a harsh reality check. Ruyan remains silent for a long moment. She says she needs to ask him some things first. Inside the quiet room, she stares at the shivering guy, remembering their very first meeting. Back then, he was just a sweet kid in a little pink shirt, holding her hand and asking if she would be his older sister. How did that innocent boy turn into such a ruthless monster? She asks him why, but the room just hangs in a heavy silence. Finally, he starts sobbing, crying that he only did it because he loves her too much and cannot stand her with anyone else. Bro is crying his eyes out, but she does not feel a single shred of pity. She just closes her eyes and calls the butler.
She tells him to handle this legally, completely washing her hands of him. The guy immediately panics, screaming that she cannot do this to him. He screams that he cannot go to prison, his face pale with pure terror, but she does not even look at him as he struggles. He clawed the doorframe so hard his nails left deep marks, but the butler drags him out anyway, slamming the heavy door shut on his screams. Ruyan finally opens her eyes and forces herself out of bed. She realizes nobody has told her a single thing about our boy's condition.
She tried asking around, but everyone kept their mouths shut, making her feel incredibly anxious as she tried to sneak out of her room.
She tries to bolt past her limits, but two massive bodyguards immediately block her path, saying her father gave strict orders to keep her inside. They warn her that she is banned from seeing the MC, but she completely loses it and tells them to get the hell out of her way.
They beg her not to make their jobs hard, but she just screams at them to get lost, trying to force her way through. Father Liu watches coldly from the hallway, telling her to get back inside. When she asks why, he sneers, asking why he would ever want to see her.
He asks if she has any shame left after everything she put him through. That harsh reality check completely shuts her up.
She cannot even find a single word to defend herself. But that very night, the dad gets word that she escaped to find our boy.
The guards ask if they should drag her back, but the dad tells them to let her go. She needs to face the consequences.
Late at night, she runs all the way to the Yi family estate in her hospital gown, but the guards absolutely refuse to let her in.
Finally, the butler walks out to deliver a message from the dad begging her to show mercy and stop hurting their young master. Suddenly, a massive flash of lightning illuminates her pale face as the pouring rain starts to absolutely drench her.
She asks what he means by hurting him, causing the butler's face to go completely ice cold. Talk about selective memory.
He asks if she forgot marrying their young master while hiding her feelings for her stepbrother, or how she constantly cast him aside for that guy.
He points out all the time she bullied and neglected him, saying that while she might think none of that counts as real harm, it did.
Those actions literally almost cost the MC his life, but he tells her not to worry because their young master does not even want her apology anymore.
Another massive thunderclap rings in her ears as she tightly clenches her fists, trying to stop herself from visibly shaking.
Deep down, she always knew she was hurting him, but she was so obsessed with Yida that she just assumed our boy would forgive him anyway. She figured if he got upset, she would just throw him a quick apology. She even forgot to do that, thinking he would never actually leave. But now that he truly does not care anymore, she feels this massive, empty void in her chest, knowing she lost him forever. She finally realizes what she threw away, but it is too late. The butler just looks at her, shivering in the freezing rain.
Seeing her completely drenched and pale, he softens his tone slightly, reminding her that the Ye family simply cannot afford to play her games anymore.
The Ye family butler literally begs Liu Ruyan to back off. Chasing him will only destroy them both. With that, the massive iron gate slams shut. The heavy thud makes her chest physically ache.
She just stares at the pitch-black mansion. Ever since her affair with Zhang Yida got exposed,
everyone told her to give up after the divorce. Even her friends knew she crossed the line. Her dad admitted they messed up by hiding the truth. She is lucky he did not make a scene. Pestering him is just toxic. Everyone wants her to let go, especially since he is done. He is never looking back, but she cannot accept it. She is finally realizing her true feelings. Talk about low-key heartbreaking. She ruined her own happy ending before realizing what she was losing. She tries to knock again, but her body gives out. She faints right there, seriously sick. She keeps crying out his name while unconscious. Her dad feels terrible but cannot face him. So he gets someone else to call, begging him to come, but his parents hear everything. And honestly, his parents are absolutely furious. Their precious son was treated like trash for years. They only tolerated her out of past respect. How does her dad have the nerve to ask?
He calms his parents and steps onto the balcony, telling Uncle Liu he will visit under one condition.
The dad is thrilled. He fully expected to get chewed out, not for him to agree so easily. He promises to grant any request. Looking at the sunset, our guy slowly delivers his terms. He wants her out of his life forever, no more contact. The dad hesitates, but finally agrees. He heads to the hospital. After days in a coma, her fever breaks and she finally wakes up. Still dazed, she sees him by her bed. She genuinely thinks she is just dreaming again.
He tells her it is not a dream. She gasps, trying to sit up and hug him. But she has zero strength and collapses right back, just whispering his name, Pingin.
She stares like she is memorizing his face, but he is totally detached, asking why she is here.
She tries to make excuses, but he shakes his head, stopping her before she can start.
There is no point. She never cared anyway. Honestly, he always knew something was off.
He noticed the weird vibes between her and her brother, but let it go because of family.
Turns out his gut was right, yet he still hoped marriage would change her. He thought she would focus on him, but she never did, and then he drops a truth bomb. He knew every single lie she told for her brother. He just stopped caring enough to call her out.
He calmly asks if she would forgive herself in his shoes. He sounds completely over it.
Her face is a mix of pure guilt and regret. She wants to speak, but nothing comes.
All she can squeeze out is a quiet apology, sorry that he loved her while she lied.
Sorry that she took his feelings for granted, ignoring his pain while chasing her brother. This apology literally took 2 lifetimes to reach him. Talk about a massive payoff for his past self.
He wants to play it cool and say it is fine, but silent tears start rolling.
He is surprised to find himself crying since he does not love her anymore. It is just closure.
After being discharged, she invites him out one last time for a proper farewell. He agrees.
When he flies back and spots her at the airport, he actually does a double take. She is wearing the exact same outfit from their first date. She reaches out for his hand. But she catches herself and pulls back, remembering they are divorced. She leads him to her car. The interior is totally different now. No flashy trends her brother liked, just his favorite elegant style. Even the music playing is customized for him. He says nothing, just closing his eyes.
She turns up the heater and takes him to his favorite restaurant, serving him soup throughout lunch. She is so attentive that a guy nearby tells his wife to take notes. He just smiles.
He corrects the guy, saying she is actually his ex-wife. Talk about an awkward moment. As the guy apologizes, he just keeps eating his food. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan sits there in total silence. After dinner, Liu Ruyan takes Yao to a movie, something she actually did a lot back in the day. But back then, the rival Zhang Yida was always around, so she only ever picked what Yida liked, completely ignoring Ye. Seriously, he was basically invisible. Even when Yida wasn't there, they never once finished a movie together.
She would always stand him up or ditch him halfway to run to Yida. So yeah, this is literally their first full movie together.
And it is a movie Yi actually wanted to see. By the time they finally walk out, the night sky is covered in stars.
Halfway home, Liu Ruyan suddenly pulls over. Before Ye can even react, she gets out and opens his door, leaving him totally confused. He asks what's going on, but she just points up. Suddenly, fireworks start bursting across the sky in a massive, colorful show.
It is so beautiful that passersby stop to watch, and Ye is low-key mesmerized too. He steps out of the car and walks toward the riverbank.
He stares up blankly. Fireworks are stunning but fleeting, right? At the very end, the sparks form Yi's initials before fading away completely.
But he is still in shock. He knows exactly what she's doing. See, years ago, Ye used to love shiny things, especially fireworks.
They were his absolute favorite. Back then, she used to adore him, promising to set off fireworks for his birthday every single year. But when the grand finale spelled out a name, it wasn't his, it was Zhang Yida's. Our poor MC was just a third wheel watching another guy's show. Back then, he was young and naive, so he cried and asked why. She just shrugged and said Yida liked them too, promising to make it up next time.
An exclusive show just for him. But after hearing next time a million times, that promise never actually happened.
Now that they're divorced and he is checked out emotionally, she finally gives him his show. Talk about too little too late, guys. That night, she doesn't drop him at a hotel. Instead, she brings him back to their old house. Since Ye left in a hurry back then, he didn't even pack most of his things. The place looks exactly like the day he walked out. It is as if the home is waiting for its master to return. But now, he's back as nothing more than a temporary guest. Even the old servants are still there. They're so hyped to see him, almost calling him master before quickly correcting to young Master Yi.
Yi just smiles and politely asks where his room is. The servants look at Liu Ruyan, waiting for her nod before leading him up.
But get this, they aren't putting him in their old bedroom or even in Yida's old room. Instead, it is a brand new south-facing room decorated exactly to Yi's taste. He looks around, but as he goes to open the balcony door,
There's a knock on the door. He opens it and there's Liu Ruyan in her pajamas. He asks what she wants.
she stares at him before softly saying, "It is nothing. She just wanted to say goodnight." Back when they lived here, he always said goodnight to her. It became her habit, and after he left, she was left talking to an empty room. She even developed insomnia. Ye remembers this too, so he gently whispers goodnight. That night, she finally gets some peaceful sleep. She even dreams they are still happily married, growing old together. But when she wakes up and sees the empty room, her heart completely sinks. She tries to call out Yi's name, Pingon, but the words catch in her throat. Suddenly, Ye's gentle voice asks what she is doing. Before he can even finish, she wraps her arms around him in a desperate hug. She whispers that she is just glad he is still there. She knows their remaining time together is ticking down fast. She can accept him leaving, but she doesn't have the courage to wake up and find him gone without warning. Ye doesn't say anything, just letting her hold him. He knows her fear, but he won't hug her back like he used to. There is no comfort left in him. After all, this is his final farewell. Over the next few days, they revisit old spots. All over the city, they visit the Lover's Bridge and even their old high school. But any trace of Zhang Yida? Wiped clean. She wanted to replace them with memories of Ye, but he stops her. There is no point. They have already gone their separate ways. Hearing this, she just bites her lip and agrees. Their last stop is a photo studio, and honestly, it is crazy that after all these years, they don't have a single photo together. Yida was always squeezed in, and even their marriage certificate photo was photoshopped. Now she is literally begging him for one real picture. He agrees to put an end to their past, but in the photo, they stand so far apart, a massive gap dividing them. Neither is willing to cross over. The photographer even jokes that they look less like a couple and more like an ex-husband and ex-wife. Her smile turns bitter. She knows they literally are a broken couple. On his final night in the country, she hands him a paper. It is a new divorce agreement. Back when they first signed, Ye's head was a mess, so the terms were all messed up. She wants to do it right this time. Ye hesitates for a second, then takes the pen. He takes the papers. Honestly, his only goal back then was to leave her and Yida alone. So he walked away with 0 assets. Talk about a complete clean break. So Ping-an was supposed to leave with nothing, but Liu Ruyan packed this new divorce agreement with insane benefits for him. Just the cash alone adds up to over 10 billion. Plus, she basically begged him to take the houses and cars. He stares at the papers, completely silent. Does he really have to sign? She practically pleads, saying she will just force it on him anyway, hoping it eases her massive guilt. He finally signs his name. The day he leaves, the weather is beautiful and the airport is absolutely packed with travelers saying their goodbyes with bright smiles, knowing they will see each other again. But between these two, there is not a single smile. Will you ever return? Even though she already knows the harsh truth, she is still holding on to a tiny, tragic sliver of hope. After all, he spent over 20 years here, but he is leaving behind all those memories. Honestly, you cannot blame him for wanting a clean break. People always cling to nostalgia, dreaming of coming back someday. But Ping-an is destined to break her heart. He has no plans of returning because where his parents are is his only real home. Hearing this, her once bright eyes instantly lose all light. Yet she still pathetically asks, what about her? Can she go visit him? Even just to watch from a distance? This time he does not say a word, just giving her a silent look. The answer is obvious. She lets out a bitter, self-deprecating laugh. Honestly, she should have seen this coming after all the toxic things she put him through. The fact that he does not flat out hate her is already a miracle. How could she expect anything more? Suddenly, the final boarding call begins. He quietly says goodbye and heads toward the gate. Panicking, she grabs him around the waist, crying out that she regrets everything. She begs him not to leave, but Ping-an just looks down at her hands wrapped around his waist, his voice completely calm as he speaks. There are no second chances in life, Liu Ruyan. Even if she's drowning in regret now, they can never go back. They can only move forward. Forward. Slowly, her desperate grip slips away. She can only watch helplessly as the man she loves disappears into the boarding gate. The absolute agony in her chest completely tears her apart, and she literally coughs up blood before collapsing right onto the floor. This is wild. Only this time, there is no loving husband rushing to save her. At the hospital, the doctor tells her to rest, but the crying parents outside tell a darker story. She does not have much time left. Honestly, it is no surprise. Ever since he walked out of her life, she had been destroying her health with constant drinking. Honestly, surviving this long was already a miracle, but she says nothing, her eyes glued to his latest social media update. The photo shows Ping An hugging his parents, all of them smiling brightly. His caption simply reads, "Wishing for a lifetime of pure happiness." Li Ruyan smiles bitterly and whispers that she wants him to be happy forever, but she knows she will never be a part of his life again. Truly heartbreaking.